Before you go out and get goats, I think it's important for you to know that goats are the hardest livestock animal to own, second only to bees. That's not me talking, that is the Homesteading channel. They did a big poll from all of their viewers and the majority of people said that goats were the hardest. So if you're getting ready to own your own goats, you're probably all over YouTube trying to soak up as much information as you can to prepare yourself. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you some of the important things that I learned after I got goats that I think that you should know before you get goats to make it a little bit easier on you. And excuse my appearance, I just got done with all the barn stuff and took a shower and decided to record this video, so this is what you're getting. Welcome to my channel. I started homesteading recently and it has become a huge passion of mine. At the moment I have 2 Idaho pasture pigs, 3 baby Nigerian dwarf goats, a Nubian goat, a cow, chickens, ducks, and 2 rescue donkeys and a rescue pony. Did I get everybody? So here on this channel, I talk about how I'm raising all of these animals, share with you some of the things that I've learned, mistakes that I've made. I've definitely made some mistakes, and anything else that I think is going to help you on your own homesteading journey. So if you're watching this and you're interested in that kind of stuff, if you're interested in homesteading, please consider giving the subscribe button and the bell notification a little bit of love today. I appreciate your support so much. So now that you're here, I know that you're here for a reason. Let me know in the comments, where are you on your goat homesteading adventure? Do you already have goats? Are you thinking about it? Did you just get one? You already have a whole bunch? Let me know. All right, so the first thing that you need to know before you put a goat on your property, and I know you already know this one, but goats are escape artists. They will squeeze through fences, through gaps in doors, through doors that aren't latched. Anything that is climbable, they will climb. And I think that the grass outside of wherever you fence them in is always better quality or something, because that's always where they seem to want to be. Get goats, you're probably going to deal with an escape goat at some point in time. I don't know many people that have not dealt with that, at least in the beginning. And I know you've probably heard or seen the whole the goats escape and they jump on top of your car and everything. I personally haven't had that one happen. Even when my goats are out, they have no interest in being on top of my car. Maybe it's because my car is an SUV and it's just not appealing to climb on. I don't know, but there's other things that they want to get into. It's usually food. Oh, while I haven't personally had goats climbing on top of my car, I have had them get out more than once. So when I first got goats, it was because my daughter was like, hey mom, I want to get sheep or goats. And I was like, there's no way I'm getting goats because goats are hard, and we'll get a lamb or something. And I ended up at a sale barn, and I ended up getting the goat from the sale barn. It was not planned, and I brought it home and had to figure out everything from there. I know there was no planning, no prep. It just kind of happened. I didn't even plan to go to the sale barn. It happened to be there. It just showed up. It popped up. Don't judge me. So as I was leaving the sale barn, the owner walked out with me. He's super nice, and he was like, you know what? He was like, you're gonna love this. Raising goats is really easy. If they get out, they're gonna go right to where the food is. And for the most part, that has been my experience. I keep their food, their sweet feed, in the garage, and they know it's in the garage. So if they get out of the barn, they're coming right to the garage and they're going to try to get into elk food. That being said, goats are extremely food motivated. So if they do get out, you can usually get them back in with food. I would highly recommend bucket training them. And basically what that means is every morning when you go out to them, from day one, as soon as you're watching this video, tomorrow morning when you go out to your goats, go out there with a bucket, put some sweet feed in the bucket, shake the bucket while you're going out there, and then let them eat out of the bucket. And then they're like, hey, I know that bucket is where the good stuff is. So now the next time they get out, all you have to do is hold up a bucket of sweet grain, shake it, and they're gonna come back. They're going to start associating that bucket with that food, and they're gonna go crazy every time they see you with any bucket of any kind. They're gonna be like, yes, it's the good stuff, and they'll all come running. So if they get out, remember, make sure you have them trained with the bucket, because that's gonna make your life so much easier. Number 2, goats can get sick very fast to the point where you can lose them. This is extremely important to know, because like I said, you can lose a goat so fast. They can get a couple of parasites, But the one that you need to be aware of is called the barber pole worm. And what this worm does is it goes inside their stomach and it sucks out all their blood. It makes them anemic, and they can go super, super fast depending on how bad the infestation is. So if you have goats, you need to know and understand FAMACHA scoring, the FAMACHA scoring system, know how to do it. You can actually go and get a FAMACHA score card that is like printed out. But until you have that, you can also find the FAMACHA scorecard just like through Google Images. But I would recommend going and getting the actual physical FAMACHA scorecard. In order to do that, you have to undergo a training. This is in the United States anyways. I'm not sure how other countries do it, but in the US, in order to get the FAMACHA scorecard, you have to go through the FAMACHA score training. And I'm gonna put the link in the description box of this video so you can go and look at it and do the training yourself. But to sum it up, you're going to look at the membranes in their eye there, and you're going to compare that color to the color that's on the card. Now, having an actual physical card is a lot better than just finding something on Google Images, because you know the screens can change the colors of things, and you want to be as accurate as possible with it. But until you get that training done, then just know how to do it and use an image if you have to. So you're going to take the card and you're going to compare it to their eye. And I'll do another video that shows you how to do the FAMACHA scoring. But after that, you're going to have to make a decision on what you need to do, because the color of the eye, the whiter it is, the scarier their situation is. So you want to make sure that like it's a nice pink color, and if it's not, then do what it says on the card. So you might need to deworm. I don't have a huge herd, so what I do is every morning when I go out there, I make sure I get them in daylight, you know, take them outside so that I can actually see them and it's not like in the barn or like in a shaded area. And I check all of their eyes on a daily basis because I don't have a huge herd. But I make it a point to check all of them all the time, because I did lose one before and it was devastating, and I never want to go through that again. Like I said, these worms can strike hard and they can strike fast. And the only dewormer I had on hand when this happened to my first goat was, and that was a sale barn goat, was the pellet dewormer, which I'm not going to recommend because it did not work. I've used the shots before. The shots work. I don't recommend the pellet dewormer. Maybe you've had different experiences, but I think that there are other things that are better. So make sure you check them often and have a plan in place. Be ready with dewormer in case you need it. Okay, so number 3, goats need good hay. When I got my first goat, I told my dad, who's an old farmer, he was like, hey, I got a goat for my daughter. And the very first thing he said was, goats need good hay. Make sure you have good hay. He stressed this. He still says it all the time. Make sure you're giving them good hay. So you don't want to feed your goats like poor quality hay. You don't want to feed them hay that's old or that it's been wet. They can get respiratory problems from them. They can get stomach problems, and it can be life-threatening. So you can actually lose your goats because you're not giving them hay that is good enough for them. And you also don't want to feed them a ton of the pellets. So you can get like sweet grain pellets or goat food pellets in feed stores or in Tractor Supply. These are kind of like extras for them, right? It's like a treat. So this is not the bulk of their diet. Only like a handful or like a cup a day is all they should be getting of, like, say like sweet grain, for example. Now they do make like pelleted hay too. So like if you want to do pellets, you could do pelleted hay, but it's just going to be cheaper to go out and get actual hay from like a farmer and support a farmer too. So that's what I do. But I do give them a little bit of grain in the morning, especially to my nursing goat, because, you know, she's making milk, so she needs a little bit more. Number 4, before you get your first goat, you want to make sure it's coming from a herd that is tested. And that means don't do what I did and don't get your goat from a sale barn. You don't know what they're coming from. And if they're exposed to something in the barn, they could go in there completely healthy, and maybe there are other goats in the barn. I know lots of people have gotten their goats from sale barns, if you do get your goat from a sale barn, make sure you're quarantining it and make sure that you test it too. So I'm not saying that it's always a terrible idea to get it from a sale barn, but if you do get it from a sale barn, just make sure that you're quarantining it and you're testing it. There are certain diseases in goats that are very, very contagious and pretty terrible. So you want to make sure that your new goat isn't going to come in and get your healthy herd sick. And in addition, you should also test your entire herd annually. So one of the things that they test for is called CAE. It's caprine arthritis encephalitis, and it's transmitted goat to goat through bodily fluid and milk. So if a kid or a baby goat gets it, they'll actually get encephalitis, which it causes their brain to swell. And in adult goats, it can cause arthritis and pneumonia, which can be fatal. They're also going to test for CL and John's disease, and all three of these can be fatal. Number 5, not all goats are created equal. So do your research, and maybe you already have and you already know what you want to get, but do your research, figure out what you want your goat for, what kind of goat you want. Do you plan on breeding it? Do you plan on milking it? Do you plan on having meat goats or dairy goats? Is it just a pet? Choose a breed that meets your needs. And you can have a mixed herd, that's okay, but make sure that everything in your herd is, what you want it to be. I have in the past had a meat goat. I've never eaten goat meat before. What does it taste like? I have no idea. I've honestly never had it before. I've never even had a chance to have it. I'm not entirely sure that I could raise goats for meat. They're like big yard dogs to me. Maybe that will change in the future, but I don't know. I really like goats, so I don't know. I don't think I could. So what kind of goats do you have or do you want? Let me know in the comments. What's your favorite kind of goat? I can't decide. I can't answer that for myself. Number 6, this is one that you're probably gonna love. And if you're not completely new to homesteading, then you probably already know that anytime you get any kind of animal, you always need 2, right? Most animals you need 2. Farming is like Noah's Ark, right? You get one animal and they're like, oh, you need to get 2 of them. Oh, okay. But goats are herd animals, so they do need to have a buddy. And let's be honest, it's just a good excuse to get 2 right from the get-go. Boom. And it isn't enough, like say you're planning on milking them, so you want to be able to, have your goat bred right away. It's not enough to get a doe and a buck, a boy and a girl at the same time, because you're probably going to want to separate them. Most people separate them. I know some people don't, but if you keep them together all the time, then you don't really have a way of knowing when your doe has been bred. When is the bred doe ready? You're not going to know. You're not going to know if she's pregnant or when she got pregnant. You're not going to be able to, be completely prepared and ready for the babies to come. And you won't be able to give her like the proper prenatal care. So I got my goat, Ginger, from a farm that kept them all together. I assumed she was pregnant. She looked a little loafy to me, but I had no way of knowing if, when she was going to have her babies. And I got surprise babies. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like I was expecting them, but I wasn't 100% sure. And like if you got yours from a sale barn, then you have no idea if your goat is pregnant or not, because you have no idea, like you can't talk to the owners, right? So it was the coldest day of the year. It had to happen on the coldest day of the year. And I just happened to be out in the barn at 11:30 at night, and I heard baby goats. I'm like, oh my God, I don't have baby goats, right? So I was really excited. But when I went in there, I saw that the mom had actually rejected her one baby. So I'm lucky that I was out there when I did, because it didn't take very long for her to have icicles on her underside. And if I had not been out there, it would have been a very different outcome. I would have been devastated in the morning. Thankfully, I've got Toasty now because she was a house goat, bottle fed, so I've got my bottle baby. But on the other hand, had I known, you know, when she was bred and how far along she was, I could have been a lot better prepared instead of like oh, I think she's pregnant. She looks loafy. A whole video about that whole like kidding process, my first kidding process. So I'll put that link in the description box for you. You should go check it out. I'm gonna get really emotional. This is my first baby. My first babies, I love them. So you've got does, which are girl goats, bucks, which are boy goats, and then you've got a wether, which is a boy goat that can't make babies anymore. It's been fixed. You'll also hear like nanny goats, which are girl goats, billy goats, which are bucks, and kids, which are babies. So they could be, you know, whatever, but they're kids. So a goat, a female goat should have another doe friend or a wether, and a buck should have a wether friend. And number 7, in addition to good fencing, you're going to need shelter. Goats don't like to get wet. My goats don't like snow either. They're not a fan of that. They don't like inclement weather. And my goats, like, even when they were food motivated and they wanted to come out of the barn to see me, they would just like kind of like scrape along the side of the barn. They didn't want to like come outside all winter long. They stayed in the barn. Let's see if I can get them to come out. Come here. You want to come out? We're not feeling it, are we? I'm hearing a resounding no from you. You do not want to play in the snow? Come on, come on, come here. Come here. Come here. Are you mad at me for even suggesting it? I'd have the door open for them. They could leave if they wanted to, and they refused. They had no interest, zero, no interest whatsoever going outside. Are we finally brave enough to come outside? Flops isn't. It's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna kill you to come outside. See, you get to pick all the good leaves. Easy pickings. You want to make sure that they're going to have some kind of shelter. It can be a barn, or depending on where you live, it can be like a 3-sided shelter, but you want to make sure that there's something that can protect them from the weather, and preferably something that can protect them from predators, depending on where you live, but there's predators everywhere. Did I forget anything? If you already own goats, what do you think is important that I might not have mentioned? And if you thought any of this was helpful, please give it a big thumbs up. It helps support my channel and it helps me to make more videos like this in the future. So these are some of the things that I think as a newer goat owner that everybody needs to own before they get their first and second. Remember, you need 2 goats. There are some more things that you should know once you start getting into that. And I'll be sure to do some videos on that soon about, you know, their hoof care, how to milk them, daily routine, other things like that. So make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss this. And if you want to see my first kidding, make sure you go check out this video next.